Com is now open on Bettor Sports Network with Justin Fensterman
Kind of like Adam Ronis, Colby, what are a few players that have bust potential this year?
and Adam Ronis.
Like Justin Fensterman, Carlos Correa failed multiple physicals. Should we be concerned about Correa's health going into drafts?
Gosh, you two don't take a break from each other, do you?
Take it away, boys.
We get a little bit of a break here after today. The Playbook is live here on the Bettor Sports Network. Hey, everybody. My name is Justin Fensterman. His name is Adam Ronis. For the next hour and a half, not 2 hours, because we have Bettor Cast coming up once again for the NCAA tournament. We're going to be making some plays, cashing some checks, talking about some futures, as well as, Roan, you and I were just in the very unique FSGA prop bets and futures draft. I believe this is both of our third or fourth time being in this league, but it's a very unique format. It's not your typical fantasy sports draft. We're drafting futures, and there's a multitude of them, from basketball to MLB, not only teams, but player futures as well, hockey, tennis, soccer, golf, and even the Indy 500, which I don't know if anyone took any, and I forget if they do. But Rowan, what's going on with you?
Just glad that it's Friday. It's been a long week, a lot of drafts. I have my home league fantasy auction tomorrow, so that usually is a 4 to 5 hour situation. So, just getting ready for baseball, starting to get some starting day pitchers announced, roster decisions. So, yeah, it's just a busy time. And then really good night last night in college basketball, some fun games.
Yeah, it's funny because I was hanging out and like a few people actually said to me, I never heard you and Ronis talk so much college basketball before. But that's a thing when you got the overtime game like we had between Michigan State and Kansas State. It was too interesting, man. It was great. And then we had the later game as well. And haven't been a lot of really ultra exciting games. I know we've had some upsets, but definitely two of probably the top 8 or 9 were yesterday. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I mean, the overtime game with Kansas State was phenomenal, and the Gonzaga UCLA game was absolutely wild. I mean, that 3 to win it, that is a ballsy 3. That's like Steph Curry. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up right here and just bang.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if it's luck or if they practice this, but they get into the rhythm of shooting, man. I feel like even with Steph, there is some skill that's involved in that. Because it's all about full range of motion when these guys are shooting. Let's actually take a look here before we preview the Tampa Bay Rays here. Only 2 more teams to preview, one of them being the Rays. A little bit later on, we're going to talk more college basketball with Pete Cole from fantasyalarm.com. Had Pete on last week. He's going to preview these games tonight and talk about the Elite 8 matchups that are already set. But let's take a look at the board here for this particular draft, Rome, because I wanted to ask you some questions about the decisions that you and Howard Bender were a team in this. You've been a team. You've won this league before. I was representing the Sirius XM side. Matt Deutsch, our better boss, and Kyle Elfrink, who I believe might have even been on the air. I think Lunch Money was still going on when this draft started. They were also a team in this as well. Going into it, man, did you and Howard expect to go with as much baseball as you did? Because you guys went with a lot of baseball for your props here. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You went 7 of your 10 were baseball. Was that the plan to go with the awards that you did?
Yeah, I mean, I knew with you picking ahead of us that you would steal my NBA pick of the Bucks to win the championship. So that was going to be the first one, but I knew that you were going to take it. So
it makes sense. It was a good call by you at the start of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, what team is deeper in the NBA than Milwaukee right now? None.
Right. So, yeah, we did. He sent the list over of things he liked yesterday, and I added ones that I liked. But, yeah, we pretty much were looking heavy baseball. That was the plan.
You and I are kind of partners in a way here, because you've got the Bucks winning the Eastern Conference, and I've got the Bucks winning the championship. So you and I are kind of in line right there. One of the things that, and you forget with this grid and from what you could see on your screen, there are odds as well. It's not just, whoever can get the most picks right. There are odds involved too in these. And one of the issues that I've had over the last few years, Roan, is I haven't taken too many big shots. I'm talking 5-figure return shots. This year, I tried to be a little bit better than that. But then when I look at what I did, overall, I mean, I did get some of that, or at least 7,000 returned, but at the same time, I feel like to win this type of thing, you have to go with at least two of these props where you got to have at least a 5-figure return in order to end up winning the title potentially in this league. For me, I just have one, and that was my final prop where I saw with most RBIs, Freddie Freeman at plus 2,500. I put my final $1,000. You have $10,000 to bet with, imaginary money, of course, to bet within this league. So I put my final 1,000 to win $26,000, and that one hits. I'm going to be contending. When we're talking about a guy who has had multiple 100 RBI seasons, and from the way he hit last year, I thought the odds were pretty good, and that's why I went with that. I was actually curious to get your take if you were considering that prop, or if you would even put a little bit on that Freddie Freeman most RBIs by the end of the year prop.
No, I didn't consider it. I mean, a lot comes down to team context, and he only had 100 last year, and Trey Turner's gone. So I think the Dodgers are good, but they're not as good as they were last year. The other thing is Freeman played 159 games last year. And he typically plays a lot. If you look at his games played the last few years, 159, 60 out of 60 and 20, 158, 162. Doesn't mean he can't get hurt. I mean, it's a good track record, but only 100 RBIs last year. That's with Betts and Turner, and he's going to hit second more than most likely. So that's going to limit his opportunity. So I don't love that one. Like, there's a shot, sure, but I think there are better players there for RBIs.
No, look, man, that's why we're talking about this, man, because I want to get, for those that are learning something out there, what you would bet there. I also took, and this is where I made a little bit of a boo-boo, I took the Ronald Acuna over 29.5 home runs. It doesn't give me a good return. I thought maybe it would give me a little bit of a better return. It doesn't. 1,000 to win 1,900. See, that's more the stuff I've done before. And I hit props, but I don't get the good return. And it's about how much money you make when all's said and done. So that was my big boo-boo in this. But I did invest in a hockey prop here. And I want to get Adam Bernard, our esteemed producer, along with Tony Rivers, Anthony Rivera, hanging out with us today. Bernard, when I was thinking about going in on hockey, and I was successful in doing that last year when I went with the Avalanche to not only win the conference, but to also win the Stanley Cup, I didn't get a good return on it, though. That was the problem. This year, I actually went with Vegas to win both the conference and the Stanley Cup with a much better return there than last year. So I put in about $10.50 to win over $14,000 for them to win the cup. And then I put $800 on them to win the conference with a $4,800 return. I mean, I was looking at Vegas before with what they've done this year. I was debating between them and maybe even Dallas, or maybe them and Edmonton. And I ended up going with Vegas. I think they play good enough defense. They score a good amount of goals as well. What do you think of the Vegas Golden Knights, AB, winning the Stanley Cup this year?
I think it's Colorado coming out of the West, but if you say I can't pick Colorado, then Vegas is probably the team I would pick to come out of the West right now, as they're starting to get a little bit healthy here, and they still have led the division despite dealing with injuries. It seems they got a big game coming up, and I know we'll talk about the weekend watching later, but they got a big game against Edmonton tomorrow night, so that'll go a long way in determining if they have some cushion on the lead or if the race tightens up. So I think that's a smart play, but if you can't go Colorado to win the cup, I still think it's whoever comes out of the East between Carolina or Boston.
Yeah, and one of the props that was there, Ronan, I don't know if you and Howard debated over this one. I don't even know if it was taken at all in this draft, 10-round draft, 14 teams. Boston winning the Eastern Conference was still on the board. I considered that at the end, but then I wanted one prop where I could get a big return, and that's when I went with the Freeman prop. But that was going off, I believe, at plus 220. Were you guys discussing a lot of hockey props?
No, we had some on our list, but we didn't go there, I guess, because more people took them. But yeah, we figured a lot of people were going to take, someone was going to take Boston, obviously, to win the cup.
You're very invested in Matt Olson, though, towards the end of your draft here. You think Olson, most home runs there, a nice little return, 600 to pay 12,000. Then Matt Olson over 34.5 home runs, 800 to play, 800 to win, 1527. You're invested in this guy.
Yeah. There were a few guys I felt that could lead the league in home runs. I mean, Judge was taken early. The other guys I was looking at were Schwarber, who I loved last year. I told someone last year, I probably talked about it. wherever I was, that I love Schwarber to lead the NL in home runs last year. And he did. Obviously, Judge led the majors, but Schwarber in Philly loved him. I think Pete Alonso. So I threw out, I said, Schwarber, Olsen. He's like, you want to just double down on Olsen? I'm like, sure. Olsen's had a ridiculous spring. He's been hitting a ton of home runs. He's another guy, too, that stays pretty healthy. If you look at his since 2018, games played 162, 127, 60 out of 60, 156, 162. Also, now has a full year in Atlanta. Last year's first year, had a good year, but, 34 home runs. The year before, he had 39 playing in Oakland, which is a very tough park to hit in. So just another year being comfortable. This guy, I'm surprised he hasn't hit 40 home runs yet. I think he can. So, we decided, you know what, we already got Olsen, so let's try and double down on that. Because remember, that category was added today also, right. So we didn't have the opportunity to discuss that. But as the draft went along, we were just texting. I'm like, yeah, let's go for one of these as our final pick.
Did you notice before I said anything in the Zoom room that Soto was drafted twice?
No, I wasn't looking that closely. I was doing other things.
Yeah, like, dude, how does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
Like, dude, and they want to change the
and then I saw that they had the Rangers and Devils twice.
Right.
I know they brought it up, but I saw it before that. I was like, I'm not going to say anything.
Right. I mean, I had to with Juan. So it was the same round. It was 5 picks apart. And the fact that this guy, I'll just say who it was, Jason Gold, was like, oh, I'm going to keep him anyway. That shouldn't have been an option. He should have had to pick something else. I know that a few more people picked after him, but that's his fault.
That's all right, because if Soto does win the MVP, I'm filing a protest.
Wow, there you go, a formal protest. Were you a little bit surprised that they still allowed Jason Gold to?
My guess is it was a pain in the ass to change, which is why they didn't want to do it, because this is not a typical fantasy baseball draft where the commission can go in and back out a pick. So I think that's why.
And then mid-draft, they want to.
That was ridiculous. I'm glad Howard said something, because I would sit there like, really? No. Like, we did our research based on what you selected. Now, I didn't see this year. Because I actually added, the email said, if you see anything, and I told them, I said, where's Shane McClanahan to win Cy Young? And they put it there, and obviously that was our first pick.
Nice. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for contributing to the pool and everything. I just was very surprised, because this is now the second FSGA draft of the week where we're changing rules mid-draft. And for everybody out there, because with these drafts, even though this is something that, let's face it, unless you get your friends together and you come up with a defined set of rules, you're probably not doing a draft like this. In fantasy sports leagues, once that draft begins, no more rule changes. There are extenuating circumstances. A few years ago, we had the pandemic. So we had to get everybody on board for our pandemic plans, just in case they take games that are 1 week and move them to the Wednesday, like we saw happen once or twice, or the Tuesday, which we saw happen multiple times that year. That's one thing. But changing the rules mid-draft, it changes strategy. It changes thought process. You want as much of the pool as possible. It's one thing when you have a placeholder, that's the player for some reason is not there, part of the software. That's one thing. But Ron, once the draft begins, no more rule changing. It's like when the roulette wheel spins, at some point, no more bets.
Yeah. I mean, once the rules are set, that's it. You can't change them. It's just simple. But I think one person wanted to add, and then they're like, well, if someone adds that, can we add? And, we already had a list of what the bets are. You can't be adding them in the middle of the draft. It's not fair, because some people did everything based on the list, and you don't have time during the draft to start looking stuff up. So, they sent the email. They said, if you see something that's not there and want it added, that was your opportunity to. And I did it. I didn't see Shane McClanahan for Cy Young. I like him to win a Cy Young. So I emailed them, hey, could you put this in? They said, sure. That was your opportunity to do it. After that, that's it. It's done.
No, I'm with you there.
I can't even believe it was even asked, and that they were entertaining it. Like, it's not being an asshole. That's how it is. The rules are done. You see how I am as a commissioner. Once we decide things, that's it. Where's the money? Get it to me. That's it. It's not being – it has to be done that way. You can't open up loopholes.
Right. By the way, you said they were entertaining it. No, that was done. They were adding.
I know.
And then Howard luckily unmuted. And
I just didn't feel like I'm muting, and I was like, whatever. I don't care anymore.
He took care of that. But then when I saw Soto drafted twice, I wish I would have said, no, Jason Gold, you pick something else. You can't have two of the props going off in the same round.
Yeah.
Come on. But then I know what would have happened. See, I also was starting to think in my head, well, how much longer is this going to go? Because we've got this show coming up, and I don't want to be on while still drafting in this draft.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half. That's not too bad. I thought it might go longer.
I thought, and I swear I thought there were fewer teams last year. I did not think there were 14. I thought that there were.
I don't remember how many there were last year, but I saw that they did say like a day or two ago it was going to be 14. So I knew that. So
some of the other props that Howard Bender, Adam Ronis here, the Fantasy Alarm team took Anthony Volpe to win Rookie of the Year at plus 800. They put down a max bet of 1750 to get a 15,750 return. So let's talk about that for a second. What should we expect to see from this guy this year? Because the Yankees seem to have a couple of guys that you've talked about, a couple of younger guys. I believe, what was it, Peraza, the other one that you were talking about when we previewed the Yankees before, as someone to watch out for. Now you go in on Volpe to win Rookie of the Year for the AL.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a great spring. He homered again today. And, there was a report that high-ranking officials are wanting him to begin the year on the team. Even if he doesn't, he should be up pretty quick. He can run, got some pop. He might even hit leadoff. So at that number, we thought it was a good bet. I do think Yoshida has a shot too. We didn't get him. Someone else did. But yeah, I mean, he is skyrocketing up draft boards too. And if they make that announcement official in the next day or two, forget it. In my home league, he's taken. He was a minor leaguer. So I don't have to worry about the bidding tomorrow, which would have been insane in a room with like half Yankee fans. So, and then NFBC main event, I think in one of the mains last night, he went like first pick around 11. He's been moving up. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement for him. And that price was even better a couple weeks ago. He's obviously been getting a lot of buzz, but yeah, there's a good chance that he can win Rookie of the Year in the AL.
I've got this problem too, because on Sunday, I'm in a draft with multiple Yankees and Mets fans, and they're always pushed up the board. So I can only imagine what's going to happen with him going into this thing. You then took probably the two. It's going to be between these two for NL Rookie of the Year. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else it could be, but you took both Jordan Walker and you took Corbin Carroll. You hedged a little bit, man. I mean, you took these guys. You for sure think it's going to be one of them to win Rookie of the Year for the NL. Any other names come to mind that could be contenders?
Yeah, I like Miguel Vargas from the Dodgers. He's going to play every day. Will play second. So he's another guy that I had on my list. I don't know if you want. I mean, I get you could do three. I mean, someone did it with the Derby. They took 3 or 4. I get that strategy, but if none of them win, you put yourself in a hole. So I don't love the strategy of going all in there. So yeah, there's a good chance it's Carroll or Jordan Walker. Someone took Senga. I guess it's possible, if he's that dominant on the mound. And a lot of times too, usually there's rookies that come out of nowhere as well. Not so much last year, but in recent years, we have seen guys that at the beginning of the year weren't high up on the books and come out of nowhere and win. But this seems like a year where you're probably going to get one of the favorites here in the National League. I would think one of those two guys. This Carroll's going to play every day. We see how fast he is. So definitely a good chance for him. And Jordan Walker obviously has had a big spring, and we're just waiting to find out if he is going to make the team and play every day. But, we're getting close to the season. So if these guys haven't been sent down yet, you would think they would make the club and play a big role.
So Will Teague from Bettor Fantasy, not to be confused with Bettor Sports Network, this is Bettor Fantasy. He won this thing last year. But did you see the strategy he employed? He picked 3 from now again, only 10 props that we could bet for this. 3 Kentucky Derby. And then how about this? He goes in on the Masters, 4 picks. I get it with the returns and everything like that, but isn't he kind of shooting himself in the foot by going with 4 different Masters picks? 1 or 2 I get, but 4 doesn't seem to me like a winning strategy.
Well, if you hit, if you get the winner of the Masters and the winner of the Derby, you might be able to win this thing. That's the thing. You don't need to win every bet here. Like the year we won, we had Jamar Chase Rookie of the Year, Micah Parsons Rookie of the Year, and one other one, and that was good enough to win it.
So you won the other one. You didn't win this one. You won the summer one, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was like wondering because I'm trying to remember when you won this one because I guess they do 2 a year, and you guys won the summer one with football because there was no football involved in this one.
Yeah.
I broadcasted the football one before, but definitely not this one here. So this one has, like I mentioned, the other sports before. But yeah, I mean, these payoffs here for the Kentucky Derby, 45,000 if Instant Coffee wins, 36,000 if Practical Move wins. And you're right. I mean, I look at like all my investments and I don't even think any of my winnings really add up to too much more than what Will did if at Practical Move ends up winning the Kentucky Derby. Then he has with the Masters where it's not as big of a payout here. Still 52.50 if Justin Thomas wins, 42.50 on a return if Jordan Spieth wins, 42.50 if Cameron Smith wins, 52.50 if Colin Morikawa wins. So if someone comes out of nowhere, then yeah, it's going to be very, very tough for him at this point to win. I ended up taking Texas in my bracket to win the tournament. I think that they're one of the most balanced teams that are still in it. However, I know very well that this could be it for them today. And if they lose, well, that's about $650. I'm out already. But if Texas does win the national championship, I get the 71.50 return on that. One of the things that I did too much last year was going after the odds that were just not too good when it came to the return. So this year I tried to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to see if that's an important strategy here. But if the Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup, I'm going to be competing for a ring. I also ended up taking, because look, we've talked about this with the NBA before. The Golden State Warriors, horrible road team. They shouldn't win the championship, but I can't doubt their offense. And if they figure out their road woes and the players that they have currently stay healthy, can they go on a little bit of a run? I think so. They were already taken by the time I reached back up on the board to win the championship. It was actually taken right before me. And then I decided on the other side in the third round to take them winning the West here. So let me ask you, I mean, you think the Warriors have any shot at making it out of the West?
Yeah, they have a shot. It's hard to back them with as poor as they've been on the road and as inconsistent. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, it's the Warriors. They're going to just show up in the playoffs." Right? I don't know, man. It's just I don't like what I've seen from them, especially on the road. So you never want to count them out because they have Curry, Thompson, Dre. We still don't know about Wiggins. So
that's the key right there, man.
He was big for them last year.
Yeah. And then look, he's dealing with other stuff right now. So it's bigger than basketball, but they need him if they're going to go on a title run. And no one's committing from their organization that he's out for the rest of the year and postseason. But we're going to have to figure out an answer soon enough because I don't think he's played a game since the All-Star break at this point. There are rumors going on about his home life crumbling and everything like that. And I just hope he's okay. It's obviously impacting him to the point where he can't be with the organization. The organization stands by him, but it really does make me wonder if he's going to be ready to roll for maybe the final couple of games and then the playoffs, because he really helped them out defensively on the wing last year. Very solid for them offensively. The Warriors are a team that are used to taking a lot of shots. He was the antithesis of that last year. He drove the lane. He crashed the boards when driving the lane as well. He took whatever opposition there was out of rhythm because everybody's expecting the Warriors and a lot of their players to just pull up and shoot. He was actually giving them a little bit of something different, which is why, unlike the Sacramento Kings, I think with a fully staffed Warriors team, they can provide a few points of differential. I don't know if Sacramento can do that. We'll have to wait and see. They've had an incredible year. They have an incredible offense. They have a lousy defense, and we're going to have to see who they match up against in the NBA playoffs. He is Adam Rodas. I'm Justin Fensterman. We are going to get with our preview here coming up here, our MLB preview, before we bring back in Pete Cole from fantasyalarm.com, and we're getting you ready for the 2023 Major League Baseball season with the Bettor Fantasy Baseball Draft. Follow pick-by-pick coverage and learn winning strategies from Kyle Alfrink and Johnny VTV as the BSN hosts and producers compete against the sharpest baseball analysts. The Bettor Fantasy Baseball Draft, part of our free baseball preview. Watch it now at bettorsports.com. He's Ronas. I'm Fensty, kicking things off. Shortened version once again of the playbook, but hey, we're going to give plays, cash those checks as well. But oh, wait a minute. I forgot something, Roan. How do we not do our tradition in the first segment here? Because it is time, once again, for the playbook's first play of the day. I wondered if we were going to have the same first play, Rome, because it's a play that you won some big money on that I think we're going to win some big money on again, although you parlayed it. So I'll let you go first. What is your first play of the night?
Well, I wrote it up, but I'm not going to go there. On pickswise.com, you can check out my picks for the night. But I'll go with my other one. That is Denny Avdia over 13.5 points, minus 112 on FanDuel. Bradley Beal is out. Kyle Kuzma is out. Avdia should start. He did the other night. And in the same situation, 16 points in 32 minutes. We see the usage rate go up. Even in the previous game, off the bench, he had 16 points in 34 minutes. Taking on the Spurs. They're last in defensive efficiency. They allow 122.2 points per game, which is most in the NBA. 8 of the last 11 games that Avdia has played 30 minutes, he's gone over this total.
Like that with Denny Avdia also in my value video at fantasyalarm.com. So good call by you. For me, Kelly Olynyk. Now, when I got this, I got it at minus 130. It's gone up since, though. It's a little bit more juiced up than that now. But still, put a little bit more money on it. That's my opinion. Kelly Olynyk over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. He's been pretty much getting there on rebounds alone. 3 straight games of double-digit rebounds. No Lowry Markkanen tonight. So he should have more time with the ball, setting up his teammates. Even though it's against Milwaukee, it's still a very nice number, nice low number. I am going to go with Kelly Olynyk over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Just put a little bit more sauce on that, some more money, and I feel very good about that once again. Those are our playbook first plays of the day right there. Let's get to some baseball. Talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. As many times as I've been to the state of Florida in my life, and that's a lot considering half my family lives down there, I've actually never been to Tampa before. Have you been to Tampa?
Yes.
Is it fun?
I mean, I was there for the labor draft in 2020. I did have fun, if you know what I mean.
Ah, I get it. I get it. You talked with people about WOBA and BABIP,
exactly.
Right? Nice wink right there. Because talking about BABIP and WOBA is amazing fun, let me just tell you. He's Rodas. I'm Fetsy. Let's go and preview the Tampa Bay Rays here on Bettor Sports Network.
Stay tuned for sports.
Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Bettor Sports Network. Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray. Weekdays at noon Eastern, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Vladdy swings at the first pitch and lines it into right center.
How did a guy who was being selected in the first round pretty well everywhere last year, he proceeded to lose 33 runs, to lose 16 homers, to lose 14 RBIs, and to lose 37 points in batting average. Oh, and 184 points in OPS. He went down everywhere. How does that guy, Vlad Jr., still register as the #1 fantasy first baseman? Ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, who won the MVP last season. Ahead of Mr. Freddie Freeman, who does the same thing every year, which is hit .315 with 25 homers and 100 ribbies. Ray, it's like Vlad Guerrero Jr. had nothing to worry about. It's like they thought they were getting him and his dad, as you can see there on the photo. You get both of them when you draft him at #1. I'm just surprised, and it was not a bad season, but Ray, it was such a disappointment compared to what he posted in 2000.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair to say. Vladimir Guerrero, in 3 of the 4 years, he's been average to good. He had one spectacular season. And we keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. The positives are the lineage, positives are the skill set, positives are the StatCast data, which everything's like top 5%, murders the baseball. The negatives are he has not hit 275 in 3 or 4 years. we keep talking about this too. He does not get the ball in the air. It's remarkable, his ability to hit 30-plus home runs, given that he never gets the ball in the air. His ground ball rate last year was 52%.
Well, and we're asking the question, how is he still number one at first? But what catches me even more so, Ray, is the overall. I mean, he's a first-round pick overall, and I don't think he has any business in the first round. I look at his profile, and there are so many guys going behind Vlad that just have business in the first round that deserve to be there. Freeman, Machado, Bichette, Rafael Devers, I think maybe Pete Alonso. You put Austin Riley ahead of him. If he gets 310, 30, 190, he's a first rounder.
I think the play with Vlad is the batting average because he hits the ball monstrously hard. I could see him hitting 320.
Can you hit 320 with a 52% ground ball rate?
You can, but it helps if you're athletic and fast. And he's
yeah, exactly. And I get it. His hit tool's strong, Ray, and he's good. It's funny his ground ball percentage is that high because on the occasions when I get to watch Blue Jays baseball, I don't see it. I see him hit the ball. And it's not really grounders. I'm surprised the number is that high. It feels like he stings the baseball, but I guess there's just no lift overall in his game.
It's just a little tweak to his swing that could really lead to that growth back toward where he was in the home run column. And I think people, he's done it. This is not hypothetical. He did it 2 years ago, and he's still just 23.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
Willie Mays Hayes here. Play like Mays, I run like Hayes.
Preparations for the 2023 fantasy baseball season have begun, and the Playbook is taking a daily look at each team's hitting.
Straight ball, I hit it very much. Curveball, that's all free.
And pitching.
Of course, if the umps are watching me close, I just rub a little jalapeno inside my nose, get it running.
You put snot on the ball.
There's a shot, another one. A long drive back into deep left, and this one is gone. A 2-0 pitch. Rosarena hits his second home run of the night.
Rays win, but how much will they be winning and how much will their players help us win a fantasy baseball championship as we welcome you back to the Playbook here on Bettor Sports Network. Up to Tampa Bay at this point, talk about the Rays here, and we already discussed one of Ronus's props. Clearly he's in on this guy big time. First round pick in the FSGA prop bets and futures draft. Shane McClanahan to win the AL Cy Young. He got it at plus 1,200 and it put a max bet of $1,750 to get a payout of $22,750 here. So I got to ask you, Rome, with that in mind, just how early will we need to be drafting this guy here, maybe even overdrafting him in order to get him? Because from what I've seen in the last week here on draft boards, part of the NFBC, he's going inside the top 40.
No, he's going higher than that. I participated in the NFBC main event last Saturday, and I took him at pick 28. So, it depends on your league. I think in some leagues, it might go round 3, maybe round 4 if it's a 12-team league. But yeah, it depends on your league. He was 166 in the third innings last year, had a 2.54 ERA, a whip of 0.93. Maybe he would have won the Cy Young if he didn't get hurt. Looks good in the spring. That was my concern coming off the injury, how he would look. But yeah, there's a lot to like here with him. Everything looks good. Doesn't allow a lot of hard contact. Pitchers on a good team. The Rays have really been good with pitchers, so you feel confident in the track record there. A lot of the StatCast numbers are red, man. Like he's up in the 88th percentile for hard hit percentage, K percentage 87th percentile, whiff percentage 94th percentile, fastball velocity 90th percentile. So there's a lot of good things here. This guy's just one of the top pitchers in the game. So I do have him in a couple leagues now. So it's nice to have him on a team.
You also told me, and just to prove to you that I do listen to you when you talk.
Not yesterday, but go ahead.
There was one time. Okay?
It's more than once, but all right.
It was one time, okay? It was Carlos Correa. I wasn't sure. I even debated just not even bringing him up, but then it's about the listeners here. Let's say you didn't bring him up. Then he would not have even been talked about when we were doing that. But what about Drew Rasmussen Drew Rasmussen is someone that you said you would go in on a little bit later on in drafts here, unless I'm wrong about that too. Drew Rasmussen going at around the 150 mark here, so you could get him in the double-digit rounds. Is this someone that you have a few shares of?
I don't, but I do like him. It just hasn't worked out, but I do like him as well. We saw last year he was pretty good. The one thing he needs to do is get more strikeouts, I think, to take that next step. Strikeout rate was 21.4% last year. But he doesn't walk many guys. His fastball spins in the 96th percentile. His chase rates in the 90th percentile. So there's a lot of good things to work with here. And, we've seen the Rays just get these players that come over from other teams. He came from Milwaukee and, it was really good coming over there. I mean, it's a good place to pitch. He had a 2.24 ERA at home, 3.49 on the road. So obviously benefits from being at home. Did spend some time in the bullpen, though, last year as well. But, definitely like him as well.
I know that you like Pete Fairbanks, too. I think you have at least one share of him thus far.
I think I only have one,
Okay.
and it was the FSGA draft because his price was lower than usual. I'm not sure why. I mean, I know he's had a little bit of a velocity decrease in the spring, and injuries have always been a problem. He's never thrown more than 42 2/3 innings in a season. He came late last year, was hurt, pitched 24 innings, but the Rays did pay him, and they tend not to pay relievers or many players. So that led me to believe, okay, they feel confident in going with him, maybe not as the main closer, but at least getting the majority of the saves. A small sample when he came back last year, but a 43.7% strikeout rate, just a 3.4% walk rate. So he has the ability, and I already had one closer. So, I'll take him as my second if the price tag's not too high. And Jeffrey Springs, their other starter, I got him in the FSGA. I don't have enough of him either. And he's a guy that went from pitching in the bullpen last year to a starter and really excelled. So I guess maybe that's what some people are scared off about, 135 in the third innings. And some of those came in the bullpen, but he's looked good with his slider here in the spring. And, I think he's another guy where, he pitched mostly as a starter, 125 innings last year, 10 in the third as a reliever. But there were some games where he didn't go deep into the games. But getting that full year under his belt starting, I think they'll be a little bit more open to letting him go further. So, he's another guy that I like a lot too.
Tyler Glass now dealing with the oblique injury. He's going to be out for at least the first month of the year. We've been talking about that a lot. We've seen where he's gone, the discounted price for him in drafts, and you see where he's ranging in drafts even in the last week in NFBC. Other players, if we go to the hitting side of it, you could look at guys that are being drafted inside the top 200. Randy Arozarena, does he even survive the second round in 15-team leagues?
Yeah, he will. I've debated taking him in a couple times in that spot. I did it. He actually, I think in FSG yesterday, I think he actually made it to the beginning of round 4. Because, there was a lot of bad picks. But, Arozarena is one of those players that the StatCast data is not good. He doesn't have a lot of red. The only red he has is sprint speed and max exit velocity. But he's just one of those players. There are always a few. Julio Urias is one of those guys that these guys just are better than what the underlying numbers show. And if you watch Arozarena, you saw it in the WBC. We've seen it in the postseason. The guy just is clutch and he comes through. Now, he doesn't have elite power. He's had 20 home runs each of the last 2 years. Maybe that can go up, but I would still pencil in probably 20. But the stolen bases are there. 32 last year, only got caught 12 times. I guess there's a shot. Maybe he gets to 40 this year. He had 89 RBIs. Averages okay, 263, 274 the last 2 years, career 269. But you're getting at least 20-20, probably 20-30, maybe 20-40. We did see 2 years ago he scored 94 runs, only 72 last year. Rays like to employ a lot of platoons, but he should play every day. So I like him.
Wander Franco. This is someone who it seems that there are a few analysts out there that are soured on him. Maybe it's the health reasons. I'm looking actually at our free fantasy baseball cheat sheet as a part of our fantasy baseball draft guide. Also for free. How you get that? You sign up for a free Fantasy Alarm account. You then click the link, no paywall, and then just like that, a draft guide and a document will open up. Roan, how much does that cost?
Is what?
How much does the draft guide cost?
Nothing.
Exactly. So I got to ask you, Wander Franco is actually listed in the bus section here of the cheat sheet. Where do you stand on him? Have you drafted him at all? Are you concerned about his health?
I haven't drafted him, man. I know the talent is there, but we haven't seen power. We haven't seen speed, and maybe he puts it together this year. But he's 20 and he's 22. We know he was one of the most highly touted prospects, but we're paying for something that we have not seen. And I know we do with some other players that come through, but 6 homers and 8 steals in 83 games last year. We haven't even seen it at the minor league level. So, how can you project more than 15 to 18 home runs and 10 to 15 steals, which is not bad. And his batting average is going to be good. I mean, the guy makes elite contact. A 9.6% strikeout rate in today's baseball is ridiculous. So, yeah, he'll hit 280, 285, but I feel like the price tag is too high, so I'm avoiding him. And, maybe he proves me wrong and has 25 homers and 25 steals, but I don't see it this year.
I didn't know if maybe he was a victim of circumstance because shortstop has a lot of different directions and options that you could go with this season. And maybe that he's just not someone that's just appealing overall in a very heavy position when it comes to depth. That is the Tampa Bay Rays right there. Only one more team to go in our previews. And by the way, you can check out all of our team previews with BSN on demand. We are going to hit the Dodgers on Monday's show. But for now, it's madness, baby. March Madness time. Because of that, we're going to bring on, as we brought on Dan Servodidio yesterday, we are bringing on his partner in crime on fantasyalarm.com, Pete Cole. We brought Pete on last week. We're going to bring him on once again and want to remind everybody that you can get your football talk tonight at 7 Eastern with Campus to Canton. It's NFL draft season, and you need to listen to the people who have been scouting this year's rookie class longer than anyone. Join Felix, Chris, Matt, and Austin for insights to help you bet the NFL draft and pick the best players in your fantasy football leagues, plus college football talk about transfers, coaching changes, spring games, early rankings, and picks for futures betting, and the Heisman Trophy. Campus to Canton tonight after us, 7 Eastern on BettorSports.com. The BettorCast will be on the Bettor Sports Network app because it's March Madness time. Let's talk with Pete Cole here on the Playbook on BSN.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network. Bettor Sports Network. Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind.
Yep.
A great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can, because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well, who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then
and Ridley.
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right?
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
You know, this is my last season, so to be in the Sweet 16 feels really special with these guys and, this team. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity. It's going to be a big game, put us on the map, earn some respect across the country. So, Brandon Miller, he's a great player, and they got a bunch of other great players. But, we're going to just stick to our game plan and just go out there and get ready for the battle.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Bettor Sports Network.
The Sweet 16 of the 2023 NCAA tournament, now down to 12 teams. We'll eliminate another 4 teams tonight here as play is getting set to resume here for March Madness. And joining us once again, because at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, it is San Diego State versus Alabama. Roll freaking Tide right there. Pete Cole from fantasyalarm.com is stopping by once again at YFC Sports. Pete, thank you so much again for joining us.
What's up, guys? Thank you. My Big East is still alive. My Hurricanes are still alive. So it's been a good tourney so far.
Well, what about your Owls there, Pete? Because I got to ask you first here. I mean, after what we saw with FAU, how do you feel? Because I know we're looking ahead to the Elite Eight. How do you feel about their next matchup here against Kansas State? And just how far can these Florida Atlantic Owls go?
I think it's going to stop here. Well, first of all, you had 2 teams, 2 preseason underdogs pretty much, and now they're playing for a spot in the Final Four, which is pretty cool. I think this is going to be a game to remember, kind of a winner go home situation in the Garden. Kansas State is good though. I think they're 23-8. They defeated 7 nationally ranked programs in the season, but then you got FAU 30. They're 34-3, the Owls. So Conference USA, not a bad conference. Conference USA champs, and now they're here for March Madness. But I think it's going to end. Kansas State's too good. They got a defense that forces like 15 turnovers a game. So, they force 12 plus turnovers tomorrow. It's going to be over. Marquise Noel, what a stat line, 20, 10, and 3 for Kansas State. He's gained national attention now, especially on that game against Michigan State. What a game that was. But I think it's all over with. So, but it'd be really cool to see them go. But I think Kansas State right now is going to win, but it's going to be in really thrilling fashion. I think. I think the spread right now is -1.5, which is probably the lowest right now among the Elite 8. But Kansas State's is gonna end their little ride.
That Kansas State game was one of the most exciting in the tournament so far. Which ones have you had the most fun watching throughout the tournament besides that?
Well, I would think, first of all, probably my favorite was probably the Kansas State Michigan. It had to be, just the way it was an overtime. The largest lead in the game was 7. Just the way Noel was playing, in New York City. He was playing a hero the whole game. So that was by far the most exciting. One other game, pretty much, I would say, is probably last night, that Gonzaga UCLA game. That was a thriller, and that one right down to the end. I have a lot of UCLA futures. I thought UCLA was going to win this game. They definitely could have. They dominated the first 20 minutes of the game. The Zags really had no one that could keep, Tiger Campbell, no one that keep him in front of them. But guess what? At the end, first you had the Amari Billy clutch score, clutch punch, but then it was once you had that Julian Strather, that ended after that steal by Malachi Smith, and he made the free throws, and then Strather put it away. So I think between that one, I probably UCLA Gonzaga probably was one of the most exciting games of the tournament.
Pete, after UConn's dominant Sweet 16 performance against Arkansas, just how confident are you that they can win the tournament or at least make the Final Four? I got them going to the Final Four in one of Ronas's brackets. He has them winning the whole thing.
So do I.
Nice.
So, maybe it's more the Big East, but honestly, UConn looked so good the other night. Did Arkansas play great? No. But right now, I mean, UConn they're elite. I mean, they had runs like 14-0 run. They had a 9-0 run. They are so good right now. And then you got a guy like Jordan Hawkins, one of my favorite players in college. I mean, he didn't play great over the weekend, but he put it all together the other night. He had 24 points, 3 assists. He had all 9 of his 3 throws. And then the one guy, the junior, Adama Sanogo. Now, here's a guy who's fasting during Ramadan, abstaining from any kind of food and drink from sun up to sundown. Did he show any signs of fatigue Thursday night? Nope. I mean, he controlled the paint. He had 18 points. Let me see, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 9 for 11 from the field. Most of them are close to the basket. He played well. I mean, the freshman Alex Carabin did well. UConn right now is rolling. And when they can be a team that's got NBA-bound guys like the freshman Anthony Black, Nicky Smith, guys like that, Devontae Davis, UConn right now is rolling, made the Elite Eight. They're winning the tournament right now.
Which 1 seed do you think is more likely to fall today between Houston and Alabama?
I mean, I would like to say Houston because they're playing the Canes, but Houston's too tough. I mean, they're just too tough on the boards. So right now, if I got to make a choice, it'd be San Diego State over Alabama. I think Alabama's going to win this game tonight, but if one of them falls tonight, I think it's going to be San Diego State. Now you got Alabama. They're ranked 3rd in adjusted defensive efficiency per Ken Pom, but the Aztecs, they came right back. They're 5th in the same category. So we see Alabama, of course, is favored by 7.5 points, but this is the type of team. They're going to slow it down. As long as a team like Alabama, because Alabama's length causes teams issues, but I think a team like San Diego State, as long as they can slow them down, play their type of game, they could definitely take this. It's going to be tough, but out of all the 2 teams, I would say definitely San Diego State instead of Miami.
Talking March Madness with Pete Cole from fantasyalarm.com. Give him a follow on Twitter at YFC Sports. Pete, a big story, a Cinderella one for that matter, a smart Cinderella story. Princeton, because Princeton at this point busting up some brackets here. So I got to ask you, because you and Servo marked Creighton as a big-time threat going into the tournament. Who do you think wins this one?
I like this Princeton team. I really do. I mean, they're the type of team they can play small. They don't have any guys that are ranked. I don't even think in the top 250 in defensive rebounding. They actually kind of remind you of the Creighton team from back in 2019, 2020. The team they dubbed the death lineup. They force opponents to bench their center and go small to combat it. But right now, I'm a big Creighton fan. I'm a big McDermott fan. I think McDermott is a great coach. And right now, this is some team he's got right now. You got, it's probably the most talented team McDermott's ever had there. You got Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's finally healthy, playing at the highest level of his career. Ryan Nembhard, I mean, that kid's special. Remember last year, both of those guys were out last year. So you got Nembhard, you got Kalkbrenner, you got other guys like Trey Alexander, shooter. Creighton, Creighton or UConn are my 2. I would love these guys to win it, but definitely Creighton's heading their way. I don't think there's no way Princeton can hit them right now, especially the way Creighton's playing.
Who do you think wins between Texas and Xavier, and why?
I got Texas going to the Final Four too. So Xavier is a good team, and Xavier's 2 wins in a tournament have come by, I think, an average of like 7 points. But a good matchup. Texas experience. They're a better offensive and defensive team, I think, than Xavier's played thus far this season. I think if Texas does try to play an offensive game against them, they may be in for disappointment. But as one of the best defensive teams left in the tournament, it makes more sense for Texas to slow the game down, keep Xavier from filling up that bucket. And if they do, they're heading to the Final Four. I mean, you got a team like Timmy Allen and Dylan Disu. Dylan Disu right now is probably one of the best players in the tournament. Allen Disu, Tyrese Hunter. I mean, it's a really good, experienced defensive team. Texas, definitely.
Pete, what about from the DFS side of things? Because we got a 4-game slate getting set to kick off inside 40 minutes here. So who are some of the players that you are building around when it comes to daily fantasy March Madness for today?
All right, well, actually, my playbook's up now on the Fantasy Alarm site. My core right now, Dylan Disu, which I just talked about. I think Disu, I mean, his price has gone up. I mean, a couple weeks ago, he's a 5K player, but he's had an incredible run right now. And, he's got this little push shot he's doing. playing awesome. So I got Disu. My core is going around Dylan Disu, either Troy Alexander or Ryan Nemhard from Creighton. Norchad Armier is my other core play forward, even though they're playing Houston. Houston's got a great rebound team. I think Armier is a walking double-double. They're my three main players I'm going around. And I also like there's a bunch of other guys I like, but mainly it's going to be probably looking at Disu, Alexander Nemhard, Norchad Armier.
Who are some of the value plays you like on FanDuel and DraftKings today?
So on both sites, right now my main value play is going to be Tyrese Hunter. He's a kid, came from Iowa State. Last year was a freshman of the year in Big 12, transferred over, went to Texas at a pretty disappointing start to the season. Didn't get hot till probably mid-February. That was the one game he torched Kansas State for 29 points. He had like 38 DK points in that game. Now, all of a sudden, Hunter's playing big time. He's playing up to 35, 38 minutes. I could definitely see Hunter going off. He's one of my top values. Micah Parrish for San Diego State, I think, more of a GPP play. If he gets hot from three, he can play. And another one, if Poplar is out, is a game time decision for Miami. If Poplar is out, we got to look at Bensley Joseph from Miami. He's only 4-3. He played 22 minutes last game against Indiana with Poplar down. Produced really well. He had like 28 DK points. So Bensley Joseph is my sneaky play, but Tyrese Hunter is my main play.
Any bets or even player props that you like in any of the games that are about to kick off, that are about to start up here? I'm thinking football here. They're about to start up here over the next few hours.
Yeah, actually, I was looking now. Actually, I actually threw them on Prize Picks. I did have a couple of Prize Picks. So look, I had Norchad Armier over 21.5 points, PRA, points, rebound, assists. Take the over on that. Ryan Kalkbrenner, take the over 21.5 points and rebounds. Brandon Miller is my third one. Take the over on 1.5 assists. And right now I've got with San Diego State. The last I saw was San Diego State, take them over Alabama at a +7.5. I mean, hey, Alabama's probably going to win, but San Diego State, they got a bunch of those long athletic type players. I mean, finishes at 5th in defensive efficiency. I think they could cover the spread plus 0.75. Sorry.
Of the teams left, who you got making the Final Four?
All right, so right now I got Creighton in the South. East is going to be Kansas State, which you said, because Kansas State beating Florida Atlantic. Midwest, Texas. I got Texas beating Houston. And in the West, I got UConn over the Zags.
He is Pete Cole at YFS Sports Pete on Twitter. Follow all of his work at fantasyalarm.com. Pete, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll let you go get ready for these games and gear up. And good luck with your brackets, man.
Thanks, guys.
Pete Cole, once again from fantasyalarm.com, stopping by here. And want to remind all of you, because this is where you come in now, because it's the NCAA tournament on Bettorcast tonight, starting at 6:30 Eastern. Watch the Sweet 16 and compete in our real-time Q&A contest on the Bettor Sports Network app. Watch, play, and win prizes by answering predictive questions about the games while having fun chatting with our community in real time. Join us for the Bettorcast and the Bettor Sports Network app tonight, starting at 6:30 Eastern. You could win a $100 gift card to the bettorsports.com collectible shop to purchase authentic hand-signed items from your favorite athletes. Campus to Kent will air on bettorsports.com right after we are done here. So we'll have to see what happens in these games. Right now in my pool, I am in third place. I've never won this pool. I've actually never won an NCAA March Madness pool before. Have you, Ron?
No, I don't enter many, so no.
Yeah, I don't enter a lot. I enter like 2 or 3 a year. But right now I'm sitting in third place. My champ is Texas. I also took Texas in today's FSGA prop bets and futures draft there. Put it down, double down. That's what I did. Speaking of doubling down, we've got a zillion games to double down somewhat on. But from the way it looks, it seems like half the players in these games are currently questionable. We're going to sift through the NBA. And then we did this a few weeks ago as well. And we're going to bring it back. Weekend watching. We're each, not only me and Ronus, but our producers as well, Adam Bernard and Anthony Rivera, Tony Rivers. They're going to give some things that they're looking forward to watching this weekend. It could be anything. It could be sports. It could be like what Ronus likes to watch, pornography. It could be anything that's coming up, an event, or just something you want to watch in general. Brag about your favorite show. You could do that too. It is also Jersey Friday. I wanted to make sure we talked about that, Ron. What are you sporting for this week?
Mets number 18, Darryl Strawberry.
There you go, Darryl Strawberry. You got to love that. Me, I've got my number 19 Willis Reed jersey on, the captain, the real captain. Anyone who's a Knicks fan that thinks Patrick Ewing is a captain compared to Willis Reed, not even close. They're both top 50 all time. Willis Reed actually won rings. Patrick Ewing, when it came to who's going to win the game or the fight, I see this is the problem. That interview that I did with Charles Oakley last year has now jaded my opinion on Patrick Ewing. But Patrick Ewing never really got into it. It was always the enforcers that were getting into it here. I do actually have a Patrick Ewing jersey that I was given, but Willis Reed, that's my real captain right there, even though I didn't get to watch him play. Still with everything about it, we talked with Rick Campbell about it a few nights ago. Willis Reed, the captain, MVP, 1970, two-time NBA champion. Rest in peace and power, Willis. I got your threads on today, so you know we are in your honor having the best show we can possibly have. For Fensty and Ronus, the playbook on Bettor Sports Network continues here. Let's talk a little NBA prop bets and plays coming your way.
Talk about your picks and your fantasy teams on Bettor Sports Network.
The importance of checking out the site that you're playing on. Default rankings of these sites. A lot of times they don't get updated. I know from experience. I used to write default rankings for the NFBKC, the basketball version of the NFBC. I'd write these default rankings in June for the NBA, before the NBA draft, before free agency opened up. And guess what? I was never asked to write an update article or update the default rankings. This happens a lot. Maybe if there's something obvious, it gets updated. Aaron Judge, for some reason, hurts his back. Maybe they make that change. Just maybe. But you don't know that. And that's why it's just so important that you show up to your draft room or you do that pre-draft prep. We're all busy. We know we're about to devote a lot of time to our fantasy baseball drafts. Why not spend the extra 20 to 25 minutes to invest properly in your team, to go and see which of those players are way down default rankings? They're going to be different on all of these sites, and you're going to be looking at them and going, maybe their analysts think a certain player who shouldn't be in the top 100, who should be maybe even not even the top 200, will be in that top 100. You got to check that out. You got to know where you're playing, just like you got to know your format when you sign up for the league. It's just so crucial, and people just skip right over it. You think it's cool to show up to the draft room 3 minutes before the draft. Well, number one, it's not cool because the commissioner's trying to make sure it is organized, especially me, who runs auctions. You can't, it's one thing if someone doesn't show up for the snake draft. Oh, well, doesn't ruin it for everyone. Auctions, you can't have someone not show up. Auto bidding, auto auctioning, it ruins the sanctity of those drafts here, which is why I always recommend, hey, make it easy on your commissioner. Don't make them send those texts there. It's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't wait till the last minute and get in there about 20, 25 minutes before so you can just look up and down the entire default rankings list so you can make a queue out of that, Ron. And the reason I keep saying this is because people still show up 2, 3 minutes before the draft, and that's it. In fact, in one of my auctions, people were asking me where certain players were, and I go, did you search their name? No, I just got in. Well, that's no excuse right there. That's your own fault. I mean, you're organized, so you're a hard person to ask here.
You're getting those questions. This is your preschool league, right? People don't know how to search player names.
People freak out. They don't think. That's the problem. Because they show up 2 minutes before the draft. That's why.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronus, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Weekdays at 5 Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
They had 27 free throws in the first half. They end up with 46. When do you see a game with 46 free throws for one team? That's not right. I don't care how you slice it. It's happening to us too much. Other teams are reaching, other teams are hitting, and we're not getting the same call. And I'm tired of it. It's old. Our guys have to do their job. We understand that. But that's a huge disparity. And I'll say it again, 46-20. That's it. That's all I got to say.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
You mad, Monty? You mad, Monty Williams, right there? You think there's disparity right there? Oh, but guess what? Your big boy, Kevin Durant, could be coming back here on Wednesday, according to some news that we got earlier today. So that'll be interesting because this is a potential future playoff matchup coming up between the Kings and the Suns. We've got 10 games on tap for tonight's slate. Ronis, you can go take a nap while I go over some of the latest injury news that we got here. So just stop me wherever you want. We've got a problem, bro. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Discord for FantasyAlarm.com, blowing me the hell up right now. They don't know what to do with this guy. He says he wants to play, but he's questionable, and you know what the Thunder have been doing. So we really are stuck right now, especially with seasons on the line in head-to-head leagues. So he's still, as far as we know, listed as questionable. Also, how about this piece of news, Rome, for those that think that the Los Angeles Clippers are going to do damage? Apparently, according to reports, Paul George returning, who's got a few week injury in the first round, optimistic if he does return for the first round. That is not a good sign right there, meaning that you could take away that it's probably going to be at least half the round before he's ready to play. And the Clippers, in my opinion, are not going anywhere without these guys. This is why, and I know you can't predict injuries, but this is why I didn't want to bet the Clippers to win the title. This is also why I didn't understand while they had the second highest odds to win the championship. Let's see these guys stay healthy. But here we are again, Roan, same song, different dance, end of the season, and the Clippers have one of their two core players that are hurt with George or Leonard.
Again, you have to understand why the books do it. They don't want it to be a liability. If they have the Clippers as the seventh most, then people hammer it, and then it becomes a liability. The same situation we went through with the Lakers last year.
I hear you, man. I didn't believe in them. Even at fully healthy, I didn't think that they can win the title. Can they win the title? Yes. Would I bet them to win the title? No, I don't. I think that when it comes to their team and what they have, they've got decent offense. They've got excellent wing defense. They've got really crappy backcourt and frontcourt defense, which you take a skilled center and a very skilled guard, and that could burn the team. So here we are again. Paul George, we don't know because he's dealing with the sprained knee. We don't know if we're going to see him in the first round of the playoffs for the Clippers. Good luck with that. Other action we got to talk about here when it comes to injuries for tonight. The Spurs have been playing a ton of jokes and a ton of games with their lineup lately. So here's who's out and here's who's in. Apparently, Keldon Johnson is in. They said he's been dealing with a little neck soreness. I think that's BS. I think that they're just trying to suck as much for Victor Wembanyama as possible. But the one thing the Spurs don't realize, or they do realize it, they're just hoping and praying that this is a draft lottery. And with the way the odds were changed a few years ago for the Zion draft, more teams now have a better chance at landing that first overall pick. No Devin Vassell tonight. No Zach Collins. Trey Jones will play. Doug McDermott will play. Devontae Graham will play. Tyrese Halliburton from the Pacers is going to play tonight. No Chris Duarte. From the Toronto Raptors, we don't have Scotty Barnes tonight. We don't have Gary Trent tonight. We don't have Precious Achiuwa tonight. Will Barton's going to be filling in and starting here in a lineup that also features the usual 3-2 with Van Vliet, Siakam, OG Anunoby, and Jakob Poeltl too. And then how about this, Ronan? It just never gets any less confusing with Ben Simmons seeing this too. Nerve damage in his back. I think it's a little bit more than that. This is, I believe, the first that we're really hearing about this. But with Ben Simmons being as mess of he is, who cares? Goodbye, good riddance. We'll see what team you end up rolling with and screwing up next year. But here's what we're dealing with, Roan, for tonight's slate. And we know, at least with Toronto, that we've got a few of their heavy hitters that are going to be out tonight. So I got to ask you, man, you looking at any proppies regarding the Raptors?
Yeah, probably Siakam points and rebounds, maybe even PRAs. I know we were on Van Fleet last time, and you could look at him too, but I think Siakam against that Detroit front court should thrive in this situation.
So with that, let's look at his number, what it ends up being here, points and points, rebounds, and then points, rebound, assists. Let's see what we could do for this here. So for his PRAs tonight, we are looking at, for Siakam, 39.5 for Pascal Siakam. You think that Pascal Siakam, let's say, I mean, in this type of game, you think Pascal Siakam could still see 30 to 35 minutes? Let's say you have what you had the other night where the Sixers were just beating the snot out of the Bulls. Do you worry about that in this matchup between Detroit and Toronto?
I mean, the Raptors just lost at home to Indiana without Halliburton.
Good point. Good point. So maybe it keeps it close, and that should keep him in the game. 39.5 is what the line is.
I'd probably go points, rebounds instead.
Points, rebounds for Pascal Siakam sits right now at 33.5. Okay.
Yeah, it was 32.5 earlier when I was debating. And so what up one with when these guys were officially ruled out?
You going to mess with anything Pirtle related? That's where I'm going to kind of start to look tonight.
Yeah, you could look there too.
Yeah, Pirtle right now for his points and rebounds is sitting there at 28.5. Too. Both kind of juiced up a bit, both Siakam and Pirtle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to, once you see those injuries, you're going to play that.
Are you going in with me on, oh, you wrote it up on PicksWise, Kelly Olynyk once again, over 10.5 rebounds and assists. So did you place the bet? I know that you recommended it on PicksWise.
Yeah.
Okay, so you placed that bet. So we're partners once again. Going to give you some credit. You put me onto that, by the way. And it doesn't matter to me at this point, as long as it keeps hitting, if Markkanen plays or not, because he still can hit it. I mean, it was a little bit concerning that he wasn't dishing as many assists after we saw a bunch of 6 to 7 games. But good for you, Roan. You put me on to the Kelly Olynyk prop, and that's one that I'm going to keep playing until it really screws me, which I don't think it will.
Yeah, I mean, we know Middleton's out for Milwaukee. I wonder if they rule maybe another starter out potentially. Certainly possible, but we've seen, Olynyk, even without those guys, he's actually played pretty well. But, he's gone over in 6 of the last 8 games, and he becomes more of a playmaker when Clarkson, Markkanen, and Sexton are out. He has the ball in his hands more. Last 4 games without Markkanen, he's had rebounds and assists, 12, 20, 15, and 18. He averages 12.1 rebounds and assists without Clarkson. And the Bucks have allowed the 6th most rebounds and the 2nd most assists to power forwards over their last 7 games.
If this doesn't hit, I might cry.
It might not. I mean, because it's getting juiced up. I think a lot of people are starting to play it now. So, I always worry when it becomes a popular play.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, you got your linchpin with that for the last few days. I've got my Cole Anthony points and rebounds that I've been riding, which has been very nice too. Magic not on tonight's slate. What you just mentioned, Milwaukee, something I want to ask you about here with this Bucks team. You looking at, and maybe someone that I'm going to look at, you looking at Bobby Portis at all tonight? I mean, normal, because again, this is a guy that doesn't need many minutes. If you're telling me he's going to play 25 minutes, I feel like we can look at something for the points and boards, if not singular or combined, for him tonight. I know Utah has actually graded well against front courts this year. That still doesn't matter to me. I think Bobby Portis will still get his minutes. I think Bobby Portis will still score some points. And my opinion on this, and maybe this is indicative of me needing to take the spread on this, I think Milwaukee is just going to be kicking ass and taking names against the Jazz all night. That's just what I'm thinking here. And what that would mean is more Bobby Portis down the stretch. And I'm seeing his points, rebounds prop at, I believe that's that, at 21.5. That is his points, rebounds tonight. 21.5 for Bobby Portis, who, by the way, from a DFS side of things, I actually ended up putting in my value video. He was still making the weight when it came to the prices. I wasn't sure about the whole Nick Richards thing, who I went with last night, but Mark Williams for the Hornets is actually probable heading into tonight. So I ended up backing off of that, and I didn't want to risk it. So I put Bobby Portis BP in there. And this is also a guy that sometimes people forget, if needed, he can stretch the floor. And if he does that, he'll see some high percentage threes.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it because there's a potential he plays 20 to 25 minutes if it's a blowout. I mean, could he get there? Yeah, but I don't see the need to risk that when you can just either play Giannis or Drew Holiday props or Brook Lopez.
Yeah, that's true as well. That's true as well. What other games are you going to be looking at tonight when it comes to props? Because here's the problem, bro. We don't know at this point about the Sixers. The Sixers last we saw had both Embiid and Harden questionable. The Hornets as well, by the way. We saw 2 players get injured. 1 player gets sick. All impact players. Oubre left the game last night. We saw Rozier leave the game last night. And then Dennis Smith Jr. got sick last night as well, bro. And I want to know because maybe for the first time all year, I may actually look at a Gordon Hayward prop, but we don't know, man. There's a lot of double-digit spreads tonight.
Yeah, this is a night you're going to have to follow and wait if you want to bet because there's still a lot of things we don't know. Don't know about an SGA, which will affect Jalen Williams. I mean, you could look at Anthony Davis points in that matchup. Suns Kings, Devin Booker. For sure. Even Chris Paul points and assists. Everyone should be playing for that game. We know Ayton is out. It looks like Nurkic is doubtful now. So I thought I saw a number earlier. I'm not seeing now. Trendon Watford, his rebounds and assists.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's 9.5.
And remember, Ronan, I'll let you continue with some of the stats here. Remember this too. Watford can also play at power forward. So you got Jeremy Grant already out. So the minutes will be there for him, even if for some reason Nurkic ends up playing.
Yeah, he's gone over that in 5 of the last 6 games. Last game, he had 9 rebounds, 5 assists.
Like that.
Then
look at you with these freaking rebounds and assist props. Ronas has been on it these last few months. Not trying to blow smoke up the guy's butt or anything like that. The rebounds plus assist props this year in NBA, which is a very hard sport to prop bet, we've been getting the best lines, I feel like, in recent weeks on rebounds plus assists, I feel like.
I think you have to look at Vooch tonight, too. No DeRozan. And going up against Portland?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'm wondering if we look at points alone.
You could do that. You could look at rebounds and assists. You could look at PRAs. I mean, I think his points is 19.5. And how does he not go over without DeRozan?
That there is nobody else in that Bulls front court that is capable of producing on the offensive end. And before you Bulls fans throw Patrick Williams at me, look in the mirror because he's part of that list too. He's the only one with DeMar DeRozan. And remember, DeRozan's the kind of guy who has a ton of usage. So that opens up so much more than a lot of other teams. How much time?
It's 20.5 on some books. It's still 19.5 on BetMGM and DK. BetMGM minus 130, DK minus 140. His rebound prop is up to 11.5. So let's see. Points and rebounds, 31.5.
I'll bring up his log while you're looking that up.
Yeah, I mean, the log doesn't matter because, DeRozan was there.
True.
And you're going against Portland. So
I guess he has been grabbing double-digit boards a lot lately. I mean, he's averaging over 11 per game, but we've seen at times him dip a little bit. Now in his last six games, we're seeing him grab, or 6 of his last 7, we're seeing him grab double-digit rebounds. So this game is going to be a fast-paced game for the Bulls tonight against Portland. I like that, man. I think that's where we go on a night where we have a lot up in the air, man. Good call by you on that.
Yeah, I think he should have a big game tonight.
Yep. Let me give you some of the DFS value video plays that I have for those that are playing DFS. And again, you got to watch these injuries more tonight than ever. A few of the plays that I do have this evening, Avdia being one of them, Portis being one of them, Gordon Hayward being one of them as well. Someone that I normally don't go with, but sub 6K on DraftKings in a decent matchup tonight. Joe Ingles is someone that I'm putting some eggs in his basket here. This is somebody who it's not all about the scoring. I was actually debating between him and Pat Connaughton for this spot. It's not just about the scoring for Ingles. He can help run the offense a little bit as well. And there's open small forward minutes with not only Chris Middleton out, but Jay Crowder also sidelined as well. So I think that you're going to be seeing him play in that 25 to 30 range. And then somebody, he comes off the bench, man, but someone who keeps getting it done for Utah, even off the bench, Chris Dunn. Someone that's just remains cheap on DraftKings, 5,500. He's up to 6K on FanDuel. So until he doesn't give me that 5X return that I'm looking for, I'm going to keep suggesting him for value videos. And this is a guy who's had to fight to stay on the roster. no Jordan Clarkson, no Colin Sexton, now also no Lowry Markkanen. He's going to be having some time with the ball, especially with those Jazz reserves.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, again, more value can open up. This is one of those tough slates where we're just waiting on so much news.
It is, man. I thought I was going to have to redo this thing a million times, but instead, all of my plays have stayed intact thus far until we find out that they're all ruled out. What are we watching this weekend here? It's a new way we're ending the week here. A little icebreaker, cool down for everybody. And by the way, update the Bettor Sports Network app to be sure you have all the new features we have developed to make your experience the best it can be. Update your Bettor Sports Network app today. What you do is you go to the App Store. There's an option where you can update the app, and that's all you do. Click away, and your BSN app will update it straight from the Bettor boss himself, our guy, Matt Deutsch. I'm Justin Fensterman. He's Adam Rodas. Let's bring AB and Tony Rivers in as we talk about what we're watching for here for the weekend on BSN.
Bettor Sports Network. It's sports talk. Sports talk done better. Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr. And I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafalo. So I went with it. Got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave because like accuracy to me is really important.
Yeah.
So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I am hunched over, and I just like literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu, and Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafalo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him, so I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player. So he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft. So he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this. He hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle. So maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
Americans love television. They love game shows. They love wrestling. They love sports, violence.
Boring. I'm going to go see what else is on.
If you like to watch your TV, and I mean really watch it,
then the Playbook is here to help you navigate what's on the tube this weekend.
I'm offering you 56 channels. Movies, sports, nudity.
Now, back to the crew for their recommendations for your remote.
Well, why am I watching it? Because it's on TV.
Everyone's watching. Everybody's working for the weekend.
That's where we're working for. That's what we always work for. What weekend? We work in sports, but we have fun too at times as well. Rona stays up very late. Definitely has fun at 3 and 4 in the morning. You still, be honest, you still stay up till 4 in the morning?
Dude, this week I stayed up till 5 in the morning one day, man.
I don't know how you do that, bro. It was one thing when we had our late show. I don't know, because you're watching things. That's why. What are we watching this weekend? I'll start it off. Then Ronas will go. Then we'll get our producers, Adam Bernard and Anthony Rivera, involved as well, guys. I know that it's a big March Madness time, but for me, Milwaukee, Denver in the NBA, 9:00 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Potential NBA Finals matchup here between the two teams that have been at the mountaintop or near it for most of the year. I can't wait for this matchup. I hope that a bunch of players aren't ruled out for this. I really want to see what it's like with both of these teams at full strength, man. So I don't know where you're going to be tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, Rome, but I'm going to be watching NBA TV, and I'm watching Bucks Nuggets.
I hope to be doing something really fun tomorrow, so I don't know if I'll be watching it.
Buddy.
Yeah.
So what are you going to watch this weekend then?
Succession season 4 comes back. So it's the final season. I really like that show, so I'm looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, you were telling me a lot of heel turns, people turning on each other in the family. That's what you normally get with family drama. I could dig that, man. I could dig that. I asked Ronas, I was like, hey, Ronas, Succession, is it kind of like that Sopranos vibe? And you said it's a little bit like that because of the heel turns and the swerves and everything. So I might have to watch that as well. I'm going to try to, everyone out there, you can hold me accountable. I'm going to try to watch a few more episodes of season 1.
Oh, good news for me. Kyrie Irving will play. Thank you.
Wow.
Tim Hardaway is out.
Wow. That's
John Morant coming off the bench again, and Malcolm Brogdon is out.
Thank you for the updates there, Adam Ronas, our not only show host, but update anchor as well. Let's go to Adam Bernard. Bernard, what are you going to be watching this weekend?
Well, I already mentioned the Golden Knights Oilers game earlier in the show. That's tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. And then on Sunday at 5 Eastern, you got a potential Eastern Conference Finals preview between Carolina and Boston in the NHL. So things on my radar this weekend. As well, we got March Madness going on. Don't forget, you got college hockey tournament going.
Oh,
so we got
Frozen 4. Rhoda's going to watch some Frozen 4. Come on.
Frozen 4 is in 2 weeks. This is the quote unquote their version of Sweet 16 Elite 8. It's only 16 teams in the tournament, but yeah. So you'll have that going on this weekend too.
Wasn't that? I mean, didn't Connor McDavid a few years ago shine in that? Like maybe it was like 5-6 years ago at this point.
No, because he never played college hockey.
My fault. I forgot who it was then that I was thinking about. I thought it was McDavid, but Tony Rivers. What about you?
Very heavy sports weekend. I have my semifinals in the NHL fantasy going on, so a lot of hockey watching. Facing the number 1 seed who went 19-1. So my 12-8 team has to come away with a win. We're leading right now, so I'm going to be looking at the waiver wire because there's not that many games going on. And then I got a fantasy draft for baseball Sunday and Monday. So better baseball preview.
That's right. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you bet. Wow, look at that company guy, Tony Rivers, right there. The better baseball preview.
Damn, I can't play Josh Green tonight now, right?
No, it's going to be hard to. With
so then I guess it's either Richards or Williams.
Yeah, I guess you might want to go Mark Williams. You got to go Mark Williams there. We thank everybody for tuning in all week. Bettorcast coming up next. Make sure you're sticking with the app, Campus Canton on bettersports.com. For Adam Ronas, I'm Justin Fetzer. We thank Adam Bernard and Anthony Rivera. The Playbook closing for the week. We out. Win the weekend.